So I find that my preaching is constantly challenging my faith. I'm always thinking about what is it that I actually believe and how does it all fit together. My name is Vicky. I'm a local preacher in the Bristol and South Gloucestershire circuit. In my day job, I'm a scientist. I'm involved in research in computational biophysics at the University of Leicester. So it was back in the late 1990s when I was a student, and I went to a church where there was quite an active student group and also other young people in their 20s. Once or twice a year we'd be sent out as students to go and take services in other churches around the circuit. I was also aware of other young people and students who were training to be local preachers or had already been accredited, and I just assumed that one day I'd become a local preacher. And when that thought sort of became conscious, I thought, well, perhaps, when's that day going to come? Perhaps it should come now. And so I spoke to my minister, who was also the superintendent minister, and he seemed very happy to give me a note to preach. And so I set off. As an academic, intellectual integrity and rigour is something that's very important to me. And so I'm often thinking about, how does my faith relate to that? How does it relate to all the other elements of who I am, to my experiences, to the experiences that I see other people having? And really it's that I'm then trying to share with my congregations. And ultimately, I'm trying to enable them to see and learn something about God, to experience and encounter God. So I really enjoyed the training. I learned lots of new things, but it was also hard work because alongside doing full days of lab work, I was then preparing services and then also had the study element to do. It's not just about learning a whole set of facts, it's about sort of seeing how does that actually relate to my faith. Here are lots of different ways of understanding what Jesus' death on the cross means. Well, actually, which one of those do I relate to? What works for me, what doesn't, and why? So you're kind of doing a lot of quite deep thinking. I think for me, one of the biggest challenges is writing prayers. I always have this sense that there's this sort of infinite number of prayers that are out there and that could be prayed, and how am I meant to just pick a handful to be used on that occasion, and how do I find the words that are meant to mediate someone else's relationship to God? I need to find words that are meaningful for me, that reflect my understanding of what prayer is and what prayer does, but it's also going to have to be meaningful for my congregations, and sometimes I don't know them very well, so I find that a real challenge. But in a way, actually, I think what's affirmed me most in my call has been the reaction of my congregations, and that's sort of what's kept me preaching and does so to this day. The fact that on many occasions I'll have someone come up to me at the end of the service and it'll be clear that they've been really moved or touched by something. When my relationship with God is able to connect with another person and in some way enable and change their relationship with God, then that is really a special and wondrous thing, and surely something where God's Spirit is at work.